It's just different.
Every now and then we come to tear it up. You can be anywhere doing anything, but you here with us. Black group therapy, black truth therapy. Debated on the regularly in hopes to find a remedy, y'all. We more than friends, we family, y'all. So if I think somebody tripping, I'ma tell them they wrong. Cause I know they'll do the same for me no matter the dispute. Black group therapy, live from the loop, huh? Yeah, we coming live from the loop. Black group therapy, live from the loop, huh? Yeah, we coming live from the loop. Black group therapy, live from the loop. Someone who I have looked up to for years, and I'm so glad that she stopped through and rocked with us and joined what it is that we do. So we got K-Love here, y'all. Let's give her some energy. Let's give her some energy.
A true queen, indeed.
Looking gorgeous as usual.
Thank
You know, indubitably.
Right.
You know?
Caleb has like this amazing hack game.
This is when my locks need to be retwisted.
Never let them know.
But
Never
look,
let them
it
know.
looks effortless,
You
but
working
it
with
looks
it.
like this whole thing. Oh, darling.
Thank you.
So, K-Love, how has your day been going so far?
Well, you know, when you asked that question, my first response, the first thing that came to my mind was an 8.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to debate if 8 came to my mind because that's my favorite number,
Mm-hmm.
or am I really at an 8? I kind of feel like I might be at a 9.
You're not chill.
Minus the chill, because I'm turning.
No chill.
I'll turn all the way up right now.
Indeed.
But I feel good. I feel good. I feel blessed. I feel excited. And like you said, not by anything that's happened already, but I feel excited about the decisions that I'm making and what that's gonna attract.
Indeed.
So.
Indeed. Beautiful. My sister Candace. Can.
I'm at a 10.
Oh shit.
Can't complain.
Why you at a 10?
Peace.
Why you always happy?
I have a safe haven now, like to just, you know what I'm saying.
Do you want to finally share with the world, or you want to just be like?
I can share with the world. Why not? I mean, my story may motivate some people.
Okay.
You just never know. You know, I'm a private person.
Yeah.
You know, I love to stay to myself, and people that's close to me don't really like to share a lot of stuff. But I mean, I can share. Like, I'm officially a homeowner
So why
now.
you?
Like, to be
Give
able
that energy.
to have a space and work so hard to have it, and now I have it, and I can create my own safe haven. Like, it's a blessing, and every day I'm just so grateful, and I just say thank you. Like, every day I'm saying thank you.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
It's so beautiful.
And I remember when, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I remember.
It's gonna inspire somebody.
When years ago, when I was doing the Blackonomics campaign, and I did an event called Blackonomics 101, where I just kind of like really wanted to like bring black professionals, you know what I'm saying, to the community and create a space where they could just share their knowledge and share their information. And Candace was there, and she had already been my homegirl, but I think like later on we ended up just building it. She was like, yeah, man, I'm trying to do this and that. And I was like, yo, man, you need to start just like saving your paper. You know what I'm saying? Start working on this, start working on that. And like out of all the people that I like have these type of conversations with, like a month later, Candace was like, yo, I got this saved up. I got that saved up. My shit is on this. I'm like, oh shit, you actually taking the advice. Let's see where this goes.
He told me things, and I listened. Like, every piece of advice John gave me, I listened, because he was one of those people who was where I wanted to be. You have to listen to people who are where you want to be in life, because that's how you're going to get there.
And
you know, you got to surround yourself with people who are in positions that you want to be in. Like, I always wanted to own something. I wanted something to be my baby. I can't, you know, I'm not saying I can't have kids right now, but I want to have kids right now.
Yeah.
But I wanted something to be my baby. So, like, you know, I made it happen, took those proper steps.
And she, you know, hit me maybe a couple months ago and was like, yo, it's time for me to make this move. I'm trying to find something. And I was like, all right,
You know what I'm saying? This is what you need to do. And then and like she always does, she did what she needed to do. And you know, it was like, we all probably come from that place where it's like, yo, when something seems so good, it's like, all right, I ain't telling nobody because this shit might not happen.
That's how I am. 'Cause I'm used to a lot of disappointments, and like I'm used to a lot of disappointments.
Me too.
Where
And
I just stay to myself. I'm telling you, I stayed to myself. I didn't want to tell nobody. Didn't want to have no housewarming, nothing. Like.
But it's like you stuck with it, and you there now, so you can talk all your shit.
Yeah, but I still like to just stay home.
But you know, still, I think sharing the information and just letting people know how possible it is very important. Like, you know,
it's
what I'm
almost
saying?
like an obligation.
Mm-hmm.
Because people need to be inspired.
They
That's
need to
another
know.
thing. And then the other part of it is too, we can't be afraid to show failure either, because that's a necessary part of life. Like everything doesn't always turn out all right. So when you know, just developing enough self-confidence where you can share your failure and not feel like a failure.
Yeah. Because success is built on failure.
Yeah, but see what happens is when we only show our children the success, you know, then
we're not painting a realistic picture.
And then when they go through it and fail, they kind of feel like a failure, not knowing, hey, this is actually one of the behind the scenes things that happen. So
part of the process, stepping stone.
Just being brave enough to try, but it's a vulnerability that's associated with trying and putting yourself out there, and nobody really wants to be vulnerable.
We definitely do. We gotta make ourselves vulnerable, you know, and that kind of like it's a perfect segue into this episode, right? Because like with this episode, what I want to talk about is the correlation of having a healthy mind, right? And how that also plays into having a healthy body. You know what I mean? My story was like, I was always like, I remember like my mom will tell you stories of how I was a kid, like 9 or 10 years old, and just would be kind of like, you know, my older brother, he's 5 years older than me. He had like a weight bench, but like he never used it, right? So like, I was the one who used it, and like I would just be like out there, just like, I don't know why, but like I just took a liking to just trying to like, you know, work out. But as I got older, I'm glad that I did that, because like in caring about taking care of my body, it for me, it gave me a leg up on having a healthy mind. And not saying that that's the solution to always having a healthy mind, right? Because there's certain instances where you just can't help. But for me, a lot of people start off with a healthy mind and then realize, like, you know, because I realize this, I need to start taking better care of my physical. But for me, it was like, okay, I'm there physically, but like I have a lot of mental growth that needs to take place. You know? So that was my experience, and it was kind of it felt backwards, and it's always felt backwards, because like then I had to like go through the process of like really processing how I felt about things, and like how I wanted to go about being a healthy person, like physically and spiritually, because like I was like, you know, I think a lot of people do that backwards, in the sense where it's like, yeah, I got this, so now I'm gonna just go out here and like make all of these spiritual mistakes.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely have had some experiences with people that were physically strong as fuck and emotionally, spiritually, mentally weak, and because it was easier for them to build up the outer than it was the inner. You know, with the outer, you know, just as sure as you lift those weights, do those exercises, you're going to begin to see some type of change, and you're going to know that the change is real. And I think that is what attracts people. They're like, I want to do it, and I want to see immediate results. I want to do something that I know the results are forthcoming and I can see them. Whereas when you're building up your spirit, or you're building up the emotional part of you, it's not something that you see just like that. It's something that is ever evolving and it's working, and so you have to believe. That takes a measure of faith. You know, to lift weights, it doesn't necessarily take faith. You can actually do it and actually see the muscle start. You can see the pounds start to go away, so on and so forth. But when you're feeding your spirit or when you're feeding your emotions, it's something that you can't see like that. And so it causes you to have to look at things in a different way. And, you know, there's a war field in the mind.
So I want to ask everybody, like, what does that combination, right, of having a healthy body and a healthy mind mean to you, right? Like how if you were able to paint that picture, what would that picture look like? What type of life would you be able to lead if you had these two things in check?
A healthy mind, I would say, one, being at peace with yourself, being at peace with your past, being able to look at situations from other people's point of views, from being logical, that whole thing, like being able to identify anything that's happened to you in your past, to conquer your demons. That's what a healthy mind, I would say, looks like. And in order for you to have a healthy mind, it starts in the mind, because if you think about it, like stress, it's all in your head. Stress weighs down on your body. So if you you can't have a healthy body without having a healthy mind.
Yep.
You may look like you're healthy on the outside, but how are you internally? You know, it all starts with the mind, and the mind, like, you have to be at peace with yourself.
Yeah, and when your mind is at a dis-ease, it brings about disease. I don't care how many push-ups, how much you're sweating, and this and that. But if you can't ultimately be free in your mind to be able to open to think, to get the things out and think about the past and get over certain things and go through your healing process, then you can't truly be that healing soul that you need to be for your body regardless. Like, and you can't be it for others. Like, if you have offsprings, how are you going to be able to be open enough to give them what they need if your mind is boggled down with stress and you haven't dealt with, like, the demons or the things that you need to deal with in order to, like, properly breathe?
So for me, I believe that they're very much so connected, and I think that you can start with either. So I do classes for young women on just health and wellness and different things like that, spiritually more so than anything. And so a lot of times we come up against the question of what is self-love, and how do I begin this journey of self-love if I've never been shown it, if I've never seen it from anywhere else. And this was my personal struggle. I felt like that. I grew up in a household where there was so much marriage around me. I constantly saw people loving other people, and that made me proficient in loving other people. I'm really good at loving other people, but I was at a deficit as it pertains to loving myself, because I didn't see people working on themselves. My mother got married very young, her and my father, and you know, they didn't get a chance to really foster self-love within themselves before they were already having a family. And so me growing up and not following in my parents' footsteps with immediately getting married, I have had no other choice but to foster self-love, because I'm a single woman. I'm 37. I haven't had any children yet, so I don't have any distractions or anything to stop me from working on that. And so I had to ask the Creator, like, how do I even begin this process? And one of the things that was revealed to me after fasting was start by drinking water. And so I'm thinking, like, well, how is this physical thing going to foster this emotional wellness that I need? But if you think about water, it makes up 70-80% of the body. You know, the body, the world, so on and so forth. And we know all of its cleansing benefits. You know, for any ailments that you can go to the doctor for, one of the things that they're going to tell you is to drink more water, because we know that it has the power to flush things out your system. If you depending on whatever religion you go to, there's baptisms that happen in water. So we know water is powerful. And so I started thinking of every glass of water that I drink as a cup of self-love. This is how I show myself love. So it starts off feeling manual. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, this is a physical thing, but every time I do, because I've now associated this physical thing with helping to build me up emotionally, health-wise. Now I'm eager to do it, and every time that I do it, it actually makes me feel better about myself because I know I'm giving myself something that's healing. And so on the journey of self-love, if we start off believing and understanding that health, taking care of yourself, starts the journey of wellness, then you know eventually they become balanced. Not only are you doing what you need to do physically, health-wise, your emotions are starting to line up with that.
And it's interesting to me that what you just said about water, right? Because when you immediately said that, I thought and let me know if y'all feel this, if y'all with me on this. Like, have you ever came in the house, opened up the refrigerator, and you saw some water, and you saw, let's say, some juice, and you was like, nigga, I'm finna drink this juice. Even though
For sure.
you know this water is like the best thing. And like and you think about the society that we live in, right? Like, you go in the store or you go to a restaurant, water is free. But it's literally the best drink on the menu.
Boy, you add a lemon, you in there.
But it's free. The Sprite is $2.99.
Yeah.
I always order water.
I always order water too. I made myself do that because I knew I wasn't drinking enough water. So I told myself anytime I go out, I'm going to drink water. And I literally have never stopped. This has been like almost
And I don't
2
even
decades.
buy juice or pops
Me
for
either.
my house. Like, there's only water in my house.
I'm so effed up, yo. Like, I be drinking. So I have this thing that I'm going through right now, right? Because I be going through shit like, all right, so this is the phase that I'm going through right now. I'm on like this whole sugar-free pop thing, and like what makes me justify it is like, it ain't no sugar in it, nigga. It's all good. Like, so I be drinking like
Even worse.
sugar-free Coca-Cola,
Them
vanilla.
artificial.
Yeah.
It ain't no sugar in it, K-Love.
And probably that sweetener is terrible.
Now, I feel like my
The
life is
chemicals.
kind of like the cheat of that because I don't drink those type of things, but it's not necessarily because I'm so concerned about, not because I'm so disciplined. It's because I'm so afraid. So there's a history of diabetes in my family. And so I'm an extremist. I'm an Aquarius. That's one of our
You
traits.
ain't getting no diabetes.
But you're absolutely right. And guess what? I'm gonna make sure of
I ain't
that
getting
by
no
making
diabetes.
sure that I'm not. So I'm constantly thinking about sugar intake, like with all type of beverages, with food, with all of that. I'm constantly thinking about how much sugar is this, and so when you're constantly thinking about that,
But that's why I
it's
was
hard
like,
to
the
make
Coke is
those
good.
type of.
That's why I was like, the Coca-Cola is good. Like, it's like, it's no sugar. And like, I'm going through this phase. I'm hoping that I grow out of it.
No.
Like, you go into Jewel's, it's 3 cases for $10.
You know how you grow out of it?
And what?
You tell yourself, I'm not going to do it, and just don't do it.
But
That's easier.
But like, okay.
I mean, because it's a phase for you. This isn't
It's-
like,
I
if
hope
it's a
so.
phase.
Because
How
like,
long have you been in this phase?
how long have I been drinking Coca-Cola?
Let me find out this is an addiction.
You on drugs. Sugar drugs.
Right.
I've been drinking Coca-Cola for about maybe a good 3 months. Like, hard, like straight up, like whenever I go grocery shopping or whenever my wife goes grocery
Okay,
shopping, I tell her, like, yo, babe, get a couple cases of sugar
What
free.
happened to
Sugar-free.
make you start drinking
No.
Coca-Cola?
So, I'm really big on fasting. Like, I fasted about 3 times this year, right?
Okay.
I did 2.
Because I'm thinking like, no.
No, listen, there's a light at the end of my tunnel. So, I fasted. I did 2 3-day fasts, and I did 1 2-day fast, and like, I just be like, yo, I'm healthy as shit, man. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
I can't.
And you know, I'm
No.
I mean, every
You're
now
not
and
gonna
again.
keep saying it's sugar free. Like all the other stuff that they put in it is worse than the sugar. Baby. Yes.
I just sugar is the devil to me. So as long as I can stay away from sugar,
You're still
No,
be
baby,
alright.
it's sugar in it still. This is what we're trying to tell you.
I don't believe you.
You trust them? You trust us now, huh?
Who trusts
I trust the white
Trust them
people.
people, huh?
The white people, they saying sugar free.
Okay.
It's on the can and it's big. If it's false advertising, somebody's
you know,
going to jail.
They
Have
would
you
never lie. They would never lie to us.
Right.
Tuskegee Airmen, they would never.
Look, I said it's a phase. I hope I make it through this phase.
Okay.
It's.
I mean, don't get me wrong. When I'm
can
out,
substitute.
sometimes I may have a lemonade or something. I just don't bring it in my home because,
So you don't buy
That's
it?
when it. And
yeah, I don't.
that's the
buy it.
best way to keep those type of things at bay.
Yeah.
Not bringing them in your home.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm a person. I went through a phase of just not wanting to eat meat like that outside of seafood, and so for that reason, I just don't buy that type of stuff when I go
What's
to
wrong
the
with
store.
seafood?
Yeah.
I said outside of seafood.
Oh,
So you're a
outside of
pescatarian.
seafood. Okay.
I'm pescatarian-ish, depending
Yeah,
on.
I've been doing that for a few months now, and I actually like feel great, like digestive system on point, like.
Now I was doing
It's
that,
great.
and then I started losing a lot of weight, and a trainer that I was talking to told me that I needed to add protein to my diet because I wasn't getting enough protein.
I'm a
And so,
pescatarian. Been a pescatarian since 2006.
for me though, it worked out. I added chicken to my
Okay.
diet, and I saw improvements in my body
You
and
trying to, what,
just
gain
my
weight
overall.
or-
Yeah, I just didn't want to continue to lose it like I was losing it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, it like I said, just different things for different bodies. But
Yeah,
this
and
the word.
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the word that I want to bring back to our society. Specifically, I want to instill in our children moderation.
Absolutely.
Moderation. That's a small word that can have a big impact. Moderation. I'm not telling you don't do this at all. I'm saying have some moderation with how you do it. Have some self-discipline with how you do it. You don't have to do it every single day, all the time, every single time. No, any of the stuff that we do that we know is not necessarily healthy for us. I'm saying have enough self-discipline to tell yourself how much is okay and how much is not okay.
So my self-discipline with that is not bringing it home
See?
because
You sound like you're struggling with something.
I mean, like I was going through. I was like, okay, I want some chips or something. So I went and got some wheat thins. The tomato basil.
They found too.
Girl, I got wheat thin wasted. I ate the whole box. I was like, are you serious, Sil? Did you just eat the whole
Bless
box? So yeah, certain things I just don't bring in the house.
But that's my whole thing, and that's like my response to you is like, moderation is not realistic.
Moderation is realistic.
It's so realistic.
I thought we was on the same team. What you mean?
No, I have my weak
You are
moments.
moderate with them weak things.
I wasn't. I wasn't.
Realistic.
But I
Moderation
do
is
think
so
that
realistic.
I think it's realistic,
No.
but I think it comes with discipline in the
I'm
mind.
sorry.
Not for an addict.
I'm sorry. Exactly.
You're an addict.
Everyone is an addict with some shit they like. Either
No, not
even
everyone.
No.
Kayla,
No.
No.
people, moderation is not realistic.
And I only got wheat
You
thin
can-
wasted once.
Either you do something or you don't. If you know it's not bad from you, stay away from it, or else you will become addicted.
Not true.
Okay.
Not true.
It's your fate.
I know that alcohol isn't necessarily good for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I have wine every now and again, and I'm definitely not addicted in any kind of way.
Nectar from the gods. Like
I can be like, no, I'm fine. I don't want that today.
Yep.
That's what the whole moderation, self-discipline thing is. I don't want that today. I like that.
Well,
it's
maybe
good, but
you-
I don't want it today.
You don't like what wine gives you all the time. So it's not like what I'm talking about is something that you
I love what wine gives me all the time, but I don't
Yeah.
have to have it all the time.
because you realize you can't function
I
under
absolutely-
that influence
No,
all the
I
time.
don't-
That's not my
So
issue.
I don't.
what I'm saying
I have
is,
wine sometimes, and I'll have a glass or two. That's not going to get me to the point where I can't function.
2 is always my limit. Like I don't get drunk. That's not my thing.
Y'all tripping.
Now I do.
That's not my thing. Just me.
I'll go there, but I don't have to go there every time I drink. I don't have to go
all right,
there.
we don't have to jump immediately to drugs and wine. We can stay on wheat thins.
Okay.
Something that's
It
not
happened
as
once.
right. No, but I'm just saying something that's not as consequential, right? Where it's
Okay.
like, yo,
You're
like I'm
impacting
not.
someone,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It's like, yo, I'm not gonna become a wheat thins head. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I like me some wheat thins. I'm fucking addicted to Subway cookies, chocolate chip. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit.
So this is really an intervention for you.
Right.
Basically.
But,
Sounds like it.
You in this boat by yourself.
Yeah, Coca-Cola and it's I happened once.
One time. You're an addict.
I don't believe you.
It happened once. I haven't bought it
Alright,
since.
you said it once. I guess I gotta accept that. I think what I really want to talk about, outside of me being addicted to sugar and trying my best to stay away from it by drinking Coca-Cola with 0 sugar, but low key it still tastes like Coca-Cola with sugar, is taking care of the body in hopes to balance the mind. It's no secret that we come from communities full of people who forget communities. We come from a lineage of people who weren't health conscious. My mom to this day is not health conscious. My grandparents to this day, they are not health conscious, and I've learned to love and accept them like just the way they are. Like this past weekend was my mom's birthday, and she wanted to go to the Golden Corral, right? Which is like, if you don't know what the Golden Corral is, if you're watching, it's this buffet where they got like a bunch of southern food, and this shit is amazing. You know what I mean? And I went and I indulged. But I tried to like keep it like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me stay away from this fried shit. And then like I ain't gonna lie, I eventually just like succumbed to the temptations of Golden Corral and like got me a marshmallow and put that shit in the chocolate fountain. You know what I'm saying? It's just like oh, I'm trying to be better than this. But I see the difference. And I also think that, I also wonder, you know what I'm saying, we have people in our family who live to be 80, 85, and they never were health conscious, you know what I mean? So like, what is it about being health conscious that we hope to help, in our generation? What is it that we hope to, acquire, and what is it that we hope to see ourselves as in the future? Of course, we want to be healthier, but like, what else?
I think that there's been plenty of studies done on how our physical health affects our mental productivity and so on and so forth. And so, obviously we struggle with a lot of mental health illness issues. There's been studies linked to the things that we eat. For instance, our children, behavior-wise, if they're on their way to school and they're eating Flamin' Hots with meat and cheese for breakfast, it's highly likely that when they come to school, they're going to get into more trouble. Certain things that you put in your body cause a reaction with your emotions. And so, if we know that what we eat is linked to how we behave, and how our children behave, maybe changing what we eat can actually curb some of the violence and the issues that we have in that type of sense. And so I think that's a good goal. Like, if we're going to be eating healthy, what's a probable positive outcome that can come out of that? And that is, more self-control, like being able to control yourself.
Yeah.
I think that for me, I think that as a community, as Black people, we don't honestly look at the benefits of like being conscious of what we put into our bodies, how we exercise our bodies, like the perks, and the things that exercising and eating healthy, the benefits are so much larger than just your body looking slamming or snatched. They really do impact our productivity. They impact our connectedness with other people. They impact our energy and how we show up, not just at work or to our friends and family, but how we show up in the world. And so the benefits of really investing in having a healthy body, which to me, once you like really invest in having a healthy body, you can't do that without investing in having a healthy mind as well. Like the two go together.
They can't really exist.
Yeah, they coincide
without each other.
Yeah.
And like I think I guess like for me, like in my understanding and realization of that is me accepting that like there's multiple ways to have that, right? So like for instance, I know a lot of people who started out not necessarily being mentally conscious and aware, but all they knew was that they wanted to be like physically fit. They wanted to, you know what I mean? And they utilized that ambition to get them where they wanted to go. And like they're, you know what I'm saying? Like they're healthy physically and mentally. Like they're happy. You know what I mean? Like they're happy. And it's like they may not be like the type of person you can like sit down with and have a extremely intellectual conversation, but you see what I'm saying? But you can't tell them that they ain't enjoying their life.
I know.
You get what I'm saying?
But
who are we to say that that's not a mentally strong person?
Right, but also the fact that when you take care of your body and mind, like, and you think of what am I putting into my body and how am I making sure that I am exercising, that does impact your academic. Like it impacts how you.
But
take
get what
in
I'm saying though.
information.
And maybe I'm being the devil's advocate right now, but what I'm saying is the mind is a reflection of the body. And if more attention and effort is placed on the mind than the body, not the mind, I'm sorry, the body, then the mind will change for the better indefinitely. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying if you get your body
opposed to people who spend, let's just say you got this like college professor who's overweight, but he's smart as fuck. Is he happy?
But his product
is that nigga happy?
No,
do you know how many people are happy being
John,
I don't know.
But John, regardless of whether he's happy or not, his productivity is impacted by the fact that he is overweight. He cannot think as clearly. He is way sharper when he is exercising regularly, when he understands what he is putting into his body, how that impacts his brain cells and stuff. So no, he's not operating.
So you saying it's better to work on your body than it is your mind?
I'm saying they're both. You can't do one without the other.
And I'm saying maybe not.
It goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
I'm saying maybe not. It's just a question. I don't have the answer.
Well, I think it's already been scientifically proven that one affects the other, so it's really not a.
But it doesn't though, right? Because we have people who we hold as scholars, and
but
they're
being
like
smart doesn't mean that you're emotionally happy. It's a lot of.
But if you can't figure out how to become emotionally happy, are you smart?
It's a lot. Yeah, you can still be
There's
smart.
different
It's
types
different
More
of
in
smart.
areas.
in
like,
areas. You can be. I know people who are book smart but not street smart, so on and so forth. I know. Do you know what I think that a lot of people are lacking now? Emotional intelligence.
I was about to say.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm talking about people are failing
Yes.
emotional intelligence.
And we're
Smart
not
as
understanding the power and the importance of it.
Yep.
ever. Yep.
Even in how we're preparing our kids to show up in society.
How we're loving our children. If you're
Yeah.
not emotionally intelligent, you
Yeah.
won't be able to figure out what your child's love language is. And when you're not able to figure out what their love language is, you're not able to effectively communicate love to your child. That doesn't mean that you're not smart. You might have 5 degrees, but
And
you
a
are not
doctorate.
emotionally intelligent. So you cannot connect on the emotional level with people that you love, and that it would be in your best interest to connect with.
And I think that's definitely something like we look at, like, let's just talk about America's leadership right now. The reason why it is where it's at is because there are people operating in positions of leadership who are not emotionally equipped or intelligent enough to be operating and leading in those spaces. And I've heard that same complaint being made by like other women in terms of like just how they show up in the workplace, but even just in dating relationships.
Lord.
Where it's like people, because you are a male, and just the way that society has set it all up, then that means that you are equipped to come and kind of tell me how to live out life and decisions I need to make, yet you're not even emotionally at the place.
I think that there hasn't, throughout the history of time, there hasn't been a responsibility placed on men to be emotionally intelligent. That was emotional intelligence was something that thought to be a woman's thing. You know, I don't know how to do all of that emotional stuff.
So when you say like
Here it is. What I know how to do is I know how to go to work and pay the bills and do these type of things.
Right.
Work out, all of that. But that emotional stuff is kind of like, I know some brilliant men who I've adored and loved, but they could not get the emotional intelligence piece together.
So when you say, when you guys say emotionally intelligent, do you mean like emotionally like considerate?
No, I mean emotionally intelligent meaning having knowledge of
emotionally
your
aware,
emotions and how you feel, why you feel the way that you feel, being able to articulate how you feel in an intelligent manner, and being intelligent enough to kind of decipher what's happening with another person, especially the person that you're building with. Okay, she's sensitive about XYZ. Maybe it's because of this. That emotional intelligence sends you
It's an
through
awareness.
Yeah, it's an awareness. Yeah.
I would like to say even like a higher percentage on having effective communication comes from you being able to read and understand the nonverbals. And you're only going to be able to do that when you are fully in touch with how you are showing up in the world.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I think a lot of men are emotionally understanding. I think
A lot of men are emotional. I don't know.
So, like, what you all may say we lack in emotional intelligence, I say that's because we didn't process or solve the problem the way you all may say it needed to be
Not
solved.
whatsoever.
No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking
It
about
don't even
more
have to
so-
be a
but
problem.
even being it, just and you might be, the anomaly, but even being able to just figure out how you're feeling and effectively be able to communicate it to a woman. A lot of men struggle with that. I can't really piece together, they can't really piece together why I feel like this. Okay, like let's say there's a guy that isn't really physically affectionate. It might take a woman speaking with him to kind of decipher and lead him back to, well, how were you treated as a child? Did your mom hug? Did your dad? No, they didn't hug. Okay, well, this might be a reason why you, but without that conversation, he might not have ever been able to gather that these things are connected. And I was able to gather it because I'm emotionally intelligent.
So you're straight out saying that women are more emotionally intelligent than men.
Yes.
Okay.
And when I say that, that's
I'm not taking it as a dig.
No, I'm just saying we
But I respectfully disagree.
That's fine.
I just think that it's just, I think that there's a genetic difference in the way that women and men process emotions and go about solving whatever problem has presented itself.
We're not even talking about problem solving, though. We're just talking about like just getting along,
Just being
communicating,
in
like,
tune with your
communicate.
emotions and being
It's not
able
even
to-
a
Okay,
problem.
well there's a different genetic, you know what I'm saying?
But this is
There's
the
a
thing.
genetic difference in the way we process that too.
Even if it's different, having emotional intelligence gives you the keys that you need to speak to someone who speaks a different language than you.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we're different, and I know that but if you don't have that emotional intelligence, you don't even understand. They say the most effective teachers speak the language of their student. So if I'm having a conversation with you, even if you don't speak my primary language, if I am emotionally intelligent, I can find a way to translate in a way that you're going to be able to understand so that we can have peace.
But I think that if we're gonna have this conversation, right, then let's talk about one party should not have to always cater.
We're not talking about one party. We're talking about you being just as emotionally intelligent as I am, and us both being able to speak in each other's language so that we
what
can
do you
communicate.
do when she is just as not? You know what I'm saying? When she's
That's
not
a problem
as,
too.
So it's it's not just him. Then it's her.
Yeah, it's a problem
And-
all the way around the board.
Yeah. So it's really not just like one instance where it's like, all right, this is gonna always be the solution. But I just something about this just feels like, all right, it's not complete.
So here's the thing, right? Something about being like willing to have conversations like this is hearing when people say to you, like that's also a part of it, is hearing when people are not feeling like it's a personal like attack on you or you know, like the whole male species, but it is like there are like medical journals that prove that women tend to show up higher on the spectrum in terms of like emotional intelligence than men do. And I think that the narrative, like what you're saying about like how men and women are genetically, our makeup is genetically different, that is propaganda and human forms
not propaganda.
social, hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
Form social structures and definitions that were created in order to continue keeping the divide. And we're saying we shouldn't have to think in those definite ways in order to just have a basic understanding of emotional intelligence.
So this is how I'll tie everything back together.
Yes, use your emotional intelligence to tie this back together.
We men use our bodies.
Is that what you just did?
Kind of did it.
Like we use
We use our bodies to show our emotion. So like with me, I have a family. I have, 2 daughters. I have a wife, and my wife tells me all the time, like, you just don't be like trying to show no affection. You don't be woo. But I'm like, babe, I get up every day, and every time I walk out this house, everything that I do is for you and the kids. I put my body.
That's not affection though.
Okay, so what? It's me. But but I'm saying, like, see what I'm saying? So it's like, accept the way that men do what the fuck we do. If we have to accept the way that you do what you do, and we have to find this balance.
What is it that you're accepting that we do?
See, this
Whatever you all want to call emotional intelligence, we gotta
This is the
accept that
problem.
shit.
This is the problem with thinking that you walking outside of the house is what shows. So I'm a mentor, and you know that, and I work with children.
I know this.
Parents create distance with their children unknowingly. Not physically touching, hugging your children is a problem. It's been proven over and over and over again on a psychological level. They need to be touched. Do you know there's a certain amount of times that a child needs to be hugged in order to be emotionally
feel
healthy?
like loved.
It's not, I'm telling you from having mentee after mentee after mentee, it's not enough that daddy got up and went to work. Daddy got up and went to work, but he never hugged me.
You don't want no little
If
boy
your
hugging
child-
your daughter.
If your child, okay, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example without putting my family there, but this is common knowledge. They know I talk freely. So my grandfather says that he was an excellent father to my father. He said he went to work so that my father could participate in all the sports that he wanted to participate in. But then when I talk to my father says he never came to one of my games. That meant something to him. So what you have to understand is love languages. So my grandfather's love language, meaning the way that he displayed love to my father, was gift giving.
Was it the way that he was conditioned?
It's gift giving. He thinks I go to work, this is me showing you love. Whereas my father's love language was quality time. So you can give me all the gifts that you want to, but you're not emotionally intelligent enough to realize
To
that
pick
my
up on the fact
my
that
love
that's
language
not what I need.
my love language is quality time. So if you don't spend quality time with me,
but
I
then-
don't feel like you love me.
I feel like all kids have that love language. They want quality time with their parentals. Like all kids have that desire.
But then, like, on the flip side, I know kids whose parents were present and didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, and all they could give their kid was a hug. And for that ungrateful ass kid, that wasn't enough.
Well, it depends.
So-
What was the child's love language?
I don't know.
That's a problem. We have to figure out each other's love language in relationships, with any kind of relationship, man,
I don't
woman,
think we have
and
to figure
children.
out anything. I think we have to understand
Love
that.
languages.
Yeah, we have to understand that too. But then we have to also understand that there's no one solution for everybody, and some things are just what they are. We can't. Some curses are so deep that it'll take 3 or 4 generations to break that shit.
I agree with that, but I think that there's a humility that takes place when you're willing to learn somebody's love language. A lot of people don't want to be humble enough because we want to think we know it. I'm gonna do it, or we're gonna be forceful. Yeah, I'm gonna do it like this, and you're gonna either get with it or get lost. But if the overall goal is healthy, emotionally healthy children, wife, family, so on and so forth, there's a measure of humility that has to come and say, hey, let me figure out what's your love language. How do you like to be loved?
But an emotionally healthy person has to realize that everything ain't gonna go my way, and I have to be okay
we're not
with
talking
it.
about that.
Yes, we are. We're
No,
talking
we're not.
about healthy bodies,
We
healthy
talking about
minds.
basic human
A
needs.
healthy-minded person has to understand these things. Hey, I didn't grow up being hugged the amount of times that statistics say I needed to be hugged. Am I gonna let this make me a fucked up person?
But John,
no, I'm
but
not.
hold on,
An emotionally healthy person has to understand that life is not fair, and that's okay.
But we should be working to make it comfortable for each other, especially the people in your family. So if I tell you, baby, my love language is physical touch, then it's up to you to make a conscious effort to touch more.
The same way that you expect, the same way you expect your wife to show you love in the way that you are wired to receive love in, is the same way you can do the same thing for her.
Because primarily with all men, physical affection is one of their love languages. What if your woman decided that she's not going to have sex with you anymore? Because she don't want to do that. She don't really do that like that.
It'd be tough.
Get tough, right.
Over.
He'd be
I
like,
want to make it all about me. Candace, you've been waiting to say something.
Okay, I have a story. So, I grew up. I'm one of 7 children. Grew up
Damn,
raised
7?
Yes, I'm the middle child of 7 children.
Damn.
4 girls, 3 boys. Always by
You like a
by
late
single
baby
mom.
bloomer generation. Like, go ahead.
I have a best friend who has mother, father got together. She has 2 older siblings, but they're like 7 and 9 years older than her. But she was raised like she was the only child. So, like, it's crazy how we became close. But like, growing up, we didn't have much, but we had love in the house. Growing up, she had everything she wanted materialistically, but there was no love in the house. She told me when we were in college that she wanted, like, growing up, she wanted my life. But growing up, when I saw her, I wanted her life because she had the car at 16. She was homecoming and prom queen and had the basketball star boyfriend and you know what I'm saying? The family who always put money, you know what I'm saying, invested money into her the whole night. But she told me that she wanted my life because growing up I had love in the house and she had everything she wanted but love. And I thought long and hard about that. Yes, her family, like her parents worked hard for her to want to have everything and want for nothing, but she was missing that love.
And that's
that's like, that made me realize love is important.
But
She didn't know what love was until she and I became friends.
But what that also makes me realize is like, okay, on your side, you had all that shit and you still didn't appreciate it.
It wasn't that she didn't appreciate it. It's just
I'm talking
that
about
you
you.
needed, that I didn't appreciate it.
Because you, growing up, she had, the grass is always greener on the other side.
Well, John, here's the thing though.
So, but y'all
we
get
both-
what
we
I'm
both
saying?
feel-
Okay, I
It's
just
not
want
about-
you to
appreciate
It's really
your
about. It's really about. And I think it takes time. We can't put all this pressure on children to be as dope as we are as adults, because the reason we're as dope is because we fucked up so much as kids and didn't appreciate the shit. You know what I'm saying? So like,
the pressure is on adults.
I'm not putting the pressure on the kids.
that's what I'm saying. Take the pressure off of kids.
John.
Kids are gonna be ungrateful no matter what you give them.
It's not about being
No.
ungrateful.
Oh my God.
Hug your children, sweetheart.
And in the
That's
moment,
the bottom line.
Hug your children.
In the
Get
moment
over
of it,
whatever
like-
block it is that stops you from being physically affectionate, and hug your children, because
and physically
If you
affectionate to your wife.
later
in front
they're
of
gonna
your
run
kids.
into a mentor
Yes.
like me, and they're gonna be telling me all of their problems about how their daddy didn't love them, and you're gonna be thinking you were the great father
But
because
look.
you went out the house and went to work.
But
You gotta
This
listen,
is
John. Listen.
I am so listening to you guys, y'all don't understand. And I'm not even disagreeing with you guys. I'm just trying to insert a point that I think y'all need to acknowledge.
Okay, what's the point? Come on.
Kids are
You're not
gonna
gonna hug these kids.
be ungrateful until they get old enough to realize, hey, it ain't as bad as I thought it was.
We're not talking
No,
about
they'll
ungrateful.
they'll be ungrateful, and some will grow up and realize, yeah, it's not as bad as I thought it was, and some will grow up with some fucked up ass mental trauma and issues because mama didn't hug them or daddy didn't hug them,
That's what I'm
or
saying.
I didn't see mom and dad hug, so
Yeah,
why the
and
hell
so
am I
that's
telling
what
No,
I'm
you?
I think the ungrateful piece comes. You talking about money and materialistic.
Yeah.
It costs you nothing to hug your children.
Nothing at
It
all.
costs you nothing to affirm and be physically affectionate with them. We're not talking about, of course, now materialistic. I have seen that children can be very ungrateful, no matter how much you give them or how little you get. But like hugging,
Love.
hugging your
Love is
children.
But this is why this is.
I ain't
the
never
problem.
seen a
But
kid
this is the
ungrateful
problem.
about hugs.
Candace just proves my point. She
No,
had
but you
love.
no, but you're
But
focusing.
Yes, but
still
she was
desire
ungrateful about money, the money part of it.
Because I'm looking at something like that I never had. And she was looking at me like, damn, I never had love in my family.
And I'm sure as an adult she can respect
Yeah.
her parents didn't have the money. But as a
They
as
did
a
the best
child,
that they could.
as a child, it's like, you mean to tell me you had arms and you couldn't hug me?
Cause they was
You
working
got arms. No. You come home, baby. You around your baby.
and they
now.
tired.
No, come on.
You ain't too
I'm not-
tired.
I'm not letting. I'm not
Okay,
letting
wait.
her
So
say,
you tired to have sex then?
Hell no.
Sometimes.
Hell no.
Sometimes.
Not
That
very
shit be
often.
real when you come
Hug
straight to
your
crib
kids
and lay down. It's
sometimes.
like it's over with.
Not when you want it.
See y'all.
Yeah,
see,
exactly.
Not
language. It's like, come on.
Come on.
Y'all just don't know. I'm finna be 30.
No,
All she wants is a hug
but
before you leave the house.
But Josh,
What
Tired.
are you talking? Don't see when people
Right.
start saying stuff like I'm finna be 30.
so
Right.
I
Next to
think
somebody that's almost a decade older than you. What are you talking
I
about?
think-
Then you
That
understand.
is.
When you tired, you tired.
What are you talking about?
It ain't
I
that
think
serious.
what's
It don't be as serious. It don't
important-
be as serious as it be when you.
what's important to acknowledge and what's important to look at is the fact that she grows up and she recognizes the sacrifices and just how hard her parents tried for her. And she grows up way more well-rounded and equipped to be able to step into leadership roles and do the shit that she does. Whereas her friend shows up and she's like, well, I was sent to the best after school programs and all of this, but I don't know if I can come up and face John face to face and be able to communicate this or be able to show my worth with this idea that I'm bringing forward. Like, love helps you
Yes.
just in terms of self belief and determination. Love goes a long way in instilling those things within you. Like all people are going to deal with doubts and just kind of feeling like maybe I'm not enough in this. But when you've grown up in a home where you were affirmed as enough simply for being who you are, that sets you up way better than your friend who comes from a rich family.
I promise. Think about Lyric, the mentor organization. Do you know other organizations were sitting back trying to figure out how the heck are they getting all of these youth to keep coming every single Tuesday? We didn't have no government funding. We had no keychains. We had no T-shirts. We didn't have anything. But we had love there. I'm feeding them food out of my refrigerator, like, and splitting it up and putting it in small portions to feed 150 youth coming by. That's love. They needed that. When I took the teenagers in, and I took into my studio apartment, they say, well, how you and 3 teenagers make it in a studio apartment? They didn't need things. They needed love. I never missed one of my sons anything that he did. When the young lady graduated from high school, college, pledged her sorority, I was there. She needed that more than she needed my money. Like, I'm telling you from a person that, like I said, I haven't given birth to my own children, but having raised and mentored so many children, and just being a woman that grew up with mom and dad, and my father taught me what love was. Not my mother so much, because she came from a background where her mother was kind of like non-affectionate in that kind of way. But my dad hugged me and told me I could do it, and told me I was pretty, and all of those type of things. That I know that makes me a different kind of woman. You know, which causes plenty problems.
Right.
I mean, you know, I received that, and I'll be a fool if I tried to combat that, because I mean it makes, you know, all the sense in the world. I guess that'll just lead me to my
Caleb, can you come back every week?
I love to come back
only
every outlet.
K-Love can get me to like not fight right. But this leads me to my last and final question as we begin to wind down. How can we? It's not just like leaders of the community, but parents and mentors and brothers and sisters contribute to the youth growing physically and mentally in healthy ways. What labor can we put forth to make that happen in the best way possible?
Start off by educating them on, like, being healthy, mind-wise, body communicating with others. It starts off with educating them and just learning them, like just learning each other. Starts off small, like your circle, who already trust you, who you already have that bond with. It starts with that, and then they can go off and do the same thing with the people that they have bond with, and it branches out. You know.
Yeah. I think paying attention to what youth and young people naturally gravitate towards you, and you know, if you're paying attention, you'll feel the pull that's around, and it's important to get the ones that gravitate towards you, because when the connection is natural, it's easier to influence. And then I think after that it's transparency.
Yeah.
You know, we can't be asking the children to open up and be honest and all of those things if we're not willing to be transparent and vulnerable with them.
Absolutely.
I didn't always do it the right way. Let's start off this conversation like that. It's not me coming in telling you how to get your life because I've done so great with mine. It's because I haven't done so great with mine. I want to stop you from falling into the trap. And I think when you start with humility and transparency and vulnerability, that makes them feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable as well. And now you can have an honest conversation. So now they're not hiding parts of who they are and what they're doing, and then you're not really being able to make an effective stride. And I think, just coming as a bringing yourself down to their level, in the sense of we are both humans attempting to make our way through this life. I don't have all the answers yet, but I have some answers that might be valuable to you, and I want to have this exchange with you where just as much as I'm teaching, you're going to teach me. My mentees have taught me so much that I didn't even know. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of educators and community workers and parents don't have enough humility to really build with children or even their children in that kind of way, because it's kind of like I'm in authority over you and I know and I got it. And the truth is we all really just struggling and trying to make it. That's why I never say, like, the journey to self-love is definitely a journey. You never get there. You're always trying, and every time you think you got there, life flip you around and you be like, damn. I thought I had it. So I would just say humility, transparency, vulnerability, paying attention to who gravitates towards you, and pouring from there.
Sylvia.
From another angle, whatever.
Why do I always?
From another angle, for those who are not able to connect, I just think it's supporting those organizations that's out there, supporting what like K-Love is doing. Being able to have those connections with the youth, like finding something to connect yourself to be able to like just support it. Like,
I would say what I always say. The best way to lead is by example, and I've been down the road where I've tried to preach and direct and just put myself on the chopping block for I guess the benefit of the community. But I think that like I'm no good. You're no good to anyone if you're like not here and shit. You know what I'm saying? And like it's just not my interest to be a martyr for anyone. So my give back is my get up. You know what I mean? Like my visibility, my willingness to make myself available to my community for whatever it is that they need to know. I think the fact that like when it comes down to being healthy, even though I love Subway cookies and like sugar-free Coca-Colas, for the most part, I think I live a pretty healthy life, right? And when it comes down to being mentally aware and just trying to like be balanced, I may not be all the way there. I might be missing a few screws, but I'm trying. Shit. That's why I show up here every week, and we just trying to figure it out together. But I think in doing both of those things, just make the process available for not just the youth but people to see and realize that, hey, it's not like, oh, some people got it and so some people don't. No, we all got it, but we just gotta like work, you know what I'm saying, work at it. And those of us who are working at it and getting it need to just, you know, kind of like reach back and show those who ain't really got up and worked towards it yet that this is all you gotta do.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
I think it's also important to understand that cultivating a healthy lifestyle isn't always the easiest thing. There's sacrifices that need to be made. But those sacrifices, because I know like the number one pushback when you talk about healthy living and healthy eating in the Black community is that white people have made healthy eating look so bland and so tasteless that people are like, nah, I don't want to go down that route. Yeah. But actually, healthy eating and healthy living can be so tasty. Like you can enjoy eating meals with just vegetables and not meat in every meal and feel full and satisfied and have like all these different taste buds interacted with. So I think like demystifying the idea of what it looks like to live a healthy lifestyle, but also like finding creative ways to go over the hurdle of eating healthy, because the reality is the communities that a lot of Black people come from, they're food deserts. And the accessibility to healthy food, or even just a place to work out, in a safe environment to work out, in community. Those things don't exist. Those things are luxuries. And so like we need to start putting our heads together about how do we create community gardens, how do we create spaces in the parks that are in our communities for us to work out together as a community, and how does it not be like look at that fat person trying to get thin, but it be look at that person trying to contribute to our community as a whole, because them being healthy, whatever that looks like physically, impacts our community in a really good way. And so like understanding that my getting healthy serves everybody. And
you know, I know we trying to wrap everything up, but you just said something that's like I want to talk about. Like it's really weird to me. Like I live in the Black community and I love living in the Black community, but like I notice like when I go jogging in the Black community, I feel weird. I'm like, oh shit, like I shouldn't, you know what I'm saying? But like you go into like a white community, they run up and down their own streets like all day, and it's like I feel like niggas is looking at me like, look at this nigga, you know what I'm saying, trying to be healthy and shit. And it's like that just speaks to how much work we really have to do in regards to I guess maybe it's just my own thing, right? Like nobody's saying like nigga you tweaking, but it's like I feel that like
no, and I think a part of that is us also clearing our mind, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of times we can't move and we don't do because we're so tied down with like stress and what's going on the day to day. Is this happening? Is that happening? So like I know you were saying body then mind, but sometimes it's really freeing the mind first so you can feel free to be able to do the things that
but
you want to do.
exercising helps you free your mind. That's the thing that a lot of people don't talk about. Like for me, like when I started running, I didn't even realize that it was going to help me declutter my mind until I did
Absolutely.
it. So it goes back. So like I think just in really kind of embracing the truth and the power behind being healthy, and also fact like having a healthy body helps you secure the bag. So if you're so concerned about securing the bag, make sure that you do it in a way that is that is conducive and is there's longevity behind it when you're healthy.
Yeah, you can enjoy the bag. You don't want to make all the money and then can't even fucking enjoy it. So, man, I love every single one of you guys even more, like always. Every Black Group Therapy episode is like literally like therapy for me. It helps me through the week, and yo, we just made it through another episode. Before we close out, real quick, people are gonna want to know your social media, so go ahead.
All social media platforms at @it's_the_can.
Go ahead, Kayla.
At K-Love the Poet on IG, K-Love the Poet on Facebook as well, K-Love Poetry on YouTube, and I have a couple of books that are available on Amazon. If you type in K-Love the Poet or Kendria Harris, you can get either my book Poster Girl or my book for children called For Smart Mouth Girls.
Go get all of them. Go get all of them, man. You know me, I'm the rapper who sat by the door. You can follow me on Instagram at John_the_author.
Sylvia, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at the Loop 2150.
Yeah, it's Black Group Therapy, y'all. We out.